in Fort Wayne, Indiana, in the U.S. For those of you who haven't heard of that, I'm about 3 hours south of Chicago. So in the Midwest, in the middle of farming land in the U.S. So thank you all for tuning in and giving us this opportunity to talk to you about what we think is probably the best CSP training program in the world. There's a lot of aspects. When Malavan and I started talking about this, I told him if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. We want to have the best program. So there's a lot of aspects. There's going to be live discussions twice a week, and then there's going to be some things that you do between sessions to reinforce what we talked about during the live sessions. And we're going to have a lot of practice testing, and we're going to have some one-on-one sessions with myself, just me and each of you that registers, so that we can talk about your strengths and weaknesses and what areas you need to study. We'll talk later about the fact that the exams are cut into 9 portions. Each of the 2 exams have 9 domains. The domains are almost exactly the same for ASP and CSP. They cover the same basic material. The CSP will sometimes have more in-depth questions, but the material is the same. And then, so later today, we'll talk about those domains. And when we talk about strengths and weaknesses, we'll talk about which of those domains do you need to spend more time studying on and that sort of thing. So I'm going to share my screen and pull up a presentation so we can go through some of the things, and you can see the process for applying for the certification and the exam. So this is a little bit about myself. I have been teaching since 1987. I taught in some high schools. And then after about 1995, I started teaching first responders, safety professionals, and firefighters. And I've been doing that ever since. I've worked in the oil fields in Abu Dhabi with ADCO, and I've also worked as a safety officer in the nuclear sector at a nuclear fuel cycle facility. So those are some very strict safety areas. And so I've got, not just do I hold the certifications, but I do have a tremendous amount of experience as a safety officer. I teach the ASP and the CSP. I teach the NFPA Certified Fire Protection as well, which is also a pretty difficult certification to get. So I want to start off talking about the requirements to get your certification. There are 4 areas that you need to keep in mind as we go through this, because if you keep this basic thought in your mind, it'll make what this large organization can make appear to be maybe confusing very simple. And the simple thing is that you have to have your degree, a certain amount of work experience, hold one of a list of certifications, and if you meet those 3, then you're eligible to take the examination. I put that on the board up here for CSP. If you have a bachelor's degree, 4 years of working as safety officer, and hold one of the 12 certifications, you will be eligible to sit for the exam. The process is also really not that difficult. Complete the online application at the BCSP website. You can Google BCSP. You don't have to type out Board of Certified Safety Professionals, and that'll take you to their website. And you could, there's a tab that says credentials. You go under credentials, pick CSP, and it'll take you to the online application. They're going to ask you to fill out some information about your work experience. They're going to want your diploma, and they may or may not ask for transcripts. Just depends. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And a copy of the certificate that you hold. You send those, you scan those in, send them in, submit them with your application. The BCSP looks at them, and they will, if you're approved, they will send you a letter. It might be hard mail, it might be, I think you can pick hard mail or email, and they send you this letter. You print the letter off if you choose email, which most people do, and then there are directions on there, and you have a test number, you have a candidate number, you call Pearson VUE. There's thousands and thousands of Pearson VUEs across the world, and there's very few countries. I know that Doha has Pearson VUE, and a lot of there's several in the Middle East. I took my CSP in Sharjah in the UAE. So then all you do is you prepare for the test and you take the test. So the process isn't that difficult as far as getting ready to go. The exam is a long exam. It's they give you 5 hours, 600 minutes for 200 questions. So you get about 1.5 minutes per question. To pass, you have to pass a certain number of the domains. So it's not that they can say, you know, you have to pass a certain number of questions. You have to pass a certain number of domains, but they're looking, it generally works out to be about 61% of the questions have to be answered for you to get the right number of domains passed. So with that being said, there's so much material covered, it's still a very difficult exam. About half of the people that take it the first time don't pass. And there are surveys that the BCSP has given, and another survey that one of the main companies here in the US that offers a online, not live, just a recorded self-guided course. And both of those asked people who failed, why did you fail? And 85% of the people said that they failed to prepare, that they just signed up and went and took the test. And that had they known that it's a fairly difficult test, even though you only have to have 61, 62% of the questions, they would have signed up for a class to prepare. And then most of those people did sign up, because you do have the ability to take the test again if your first effort isn't successful. So there are a couple of ways to get the CSP. The first one we talked about was you're already completely qualified. You have a bachelor's degree. You have at least 4 years experience. I was looking at the list of people here. Almost everybody has that. Those that don't will have at least 1 year so that you can take the other track we'll talk about in a minute. And you hold one of the 12 certifications. We're going to look at that, and you'll get an email after this that if you're not aware of those, we have a survey coming to you, and it'll ask you, it'll list those, and if you have any of those, you just check them off. So if you have all of those, that's the main track one. If you do not have one of those 12 certifications, you can qualify through what they call the QEP process, which means that QEP is a list of 1 year shorter degrees that they will accept in place of something like the NEBOSH or the ASP. If you have one of those and the experience and the degree, then you're eligible. If not, then you have to go the ASP route, which is what most people do anyway. Most people start as an ASP, and then once you become ASP, you're eligible to be a CSP. In that regard, you have to have a 2-year associate's degree. You have to have at least 1 year of experience. And if you have those two things, you don't have to have any certification, okay? So you have to have the 1 year experience, the associate's degree in an HSE field, okay? And if you have that, then you can take the ASP. Once you have taken the ASP and passed, then you're automatically eligible immediately to apply for the CSP and take the CSP. So that's one of the reasons that we prepare you for both of those exams during this course, because no matter which track you decide to go, CSP or ASP, as soon as you get done with the ASP, you can do the CSP. And so we cover both of those. If your degree, and which most of you, your degrees are probably from outside of an accredited U.S. college, they will be evaluated by the BCSP for equivalency, just meaning that it's a 4-year degree with the right number of credits and so forth. They don't want someone to have gone to some university, we've all heard of them, where they give you a bachelor's degree after 30 credits or 1 year. So that's pretty unusual. If you have a bachelor's degree, most of the time, I've never heard of a degree being turned down. This is the list of approved certifications that I talked about. There's 12. If you hold one of these and you have the bachelor's degree in any field, doesn't matter, your bachelor's degree can be in anything. If you have one of these certifications and 4 years of experience, then you're good to go. If you do not hold one of these, this is the list of certifications that can come in place of those others. Okay, so we've talked about this already.
Excuse me, Terry.
Yes.
Can I interrupt?
Please.
Yeah, just wanted to remind the audience, the participants, see the slides that we have shown, these documents about the approved certifications is going to be emailed to you. So don't worry if Terry is skipping that part. It's just for you to understand the concept, but the detailed document would be emailed to you. Thank you.
Yeah, and there you can also go on the BCSP website, click credentials, and then you can actually compare the list of what's required for CSP and ASP on their site. So you need to ask these 3 questions about yourself. Do you have a degree? Have you worked at least 4 years with 50% of your duties being related to safety? When you fill out that application on the BCSP website, they're going to ask you in detail, describe what your safety related duties were at that position. So just be prepared to know that if you were worked as a safety officer somewhere, you'll need to be able to write down on the application what all of those job duties that you performed were. So you create the profile. It will ask you to submit some documents, questions about your work experience, and then there's a fee of $160 US. So then you get all that off to them, they approve you, and then you call Pearson VUE and you pay Pearson VUE $350 for scheduling the exam. So that's all the easy part. It seems a little confusing, but it's really not. Do you have the degree? Do you have the work experience? Do you have the certification? And if you have the degree and the work experience and you don't have the certification, you can go to ASP. It's really quite simple. The difficult part then is once you get that letter is getting ready to take your exam. And that's where this course comes in. And that's what Malvan and I have been working on for several months now, putting together. You have to have a plan. Yes.
Shall we just check if everyone is on board, whether they understood so far?
Sure. Sure. Any questions?
Yes. Does anyone have any questions, please?
Okay.
We forgot to announce, Terry. If no one is participating, we have to charge you, by the way.
Yeah,
feel free to ask questions.
Either we've put everyone to sleep or we're just covering things really well, right?
Sure. Thanks, Terry.
So did we have a question?
No, Terry.
Okay, I'll keep going. So the important part about...
Sorry for interruption. I have one question.
No, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Cherry, for your excellent presentation for beginning from the beginning. I'm hearing, but you are talking about the only 2 years experience for appearing this ASP or CSP exam, or there are 4 years minimum experience is required, right?
So if you are going for the CSP directly, then it's 4 years experience.
Correct.
If you're going to do the ASP and then later upgrade to the CSP, it's 1 year experience.
Okay. Okay, thank you. But already I have registered and I have approved. But the problem is during this epidemic period, we are not able to appear for the ASP exam once you are ready for taking the exam. Now, what is the situation, the present situation, how we can proceed?
Okay, so when you get that letter, you have 1 year to schedule your course.
Yeah.
Under normal circumstances. Obviously, the pandemic is not a normal circumstance. So if you're unable, you can contact BCSP and they will work with you to get this done. They're actually, this is just something that somebody else has done, but some of the other tests are allowing you to take your certification exams at home through Pearson VUE, where they send the test to you and you take it on your PC. I don't know if Pearson VUE and CSP are going to do that. Some of the other boards have done it. But you have to have a video camera on and basically they watch you take the test through like a Zoom meeting. So that they know that you're taking the test, that you're not Googling all of the questions, or you don't have a panel of 6 people working on one test together. If I don't know if CSP and Pearson are going to do that, but I know that due to the fact that the pandemic has stretched longer than some people have thought it would, some of the other certification bodies are going that direction. So that's a possibility. But the BCSP will work with you if your year starts to get close to expiring. But by all means, don't let the year expire. If you're approved for the exam and you can't take it, let BCSP know and they'll send you another letter with a new date.
Okay,
Very
thank
good
you.
question. Thank you. I'm sure that you're not the only person in that boat, obviously.
Terry, there's another question. This is something we talked about earlier. If you take a country like India, they do have 2 qualifications. One is called a degree, which is only 3 years. It's not 4 years. The other one could be a 2-year or a 3-year diploma. So
Okay.
would that be, yes.
All you can do is submit that diploma and let them evaluate it. So if the number of credits are acceptable to the BCSP, then because different countries do university in a different manner, you may get the same number of credits in 3 years that you might get in the US in 4 years. For example, in the US, 1 year of university is only 8 months. So if you go 3 years in full time, you've actually exceeded the amount of time. So it's more about the number of credits than it is. They just use that terminology of 4-year degree, but a lot of people in the US takes classes during the summer and graduate in 2.5, 3 years as well. But it's called a 4-year degree, not because it took 4 years to get it, but because it has a certain number of credits.
Sure.
So that's what
Thank
they're,
you,
that's what they're going to evaluate for.
If there's no other questions, then Terry can proceed.
Okay, so having a study plan is vital. Understanding your strengths and weaknesses, we talked a little bit about that. All of you are going to have a strength in some of the 9 domains. All of you are going to have a weakness in some of the 9 domains. So it's going to be important to figure that out, and it helps to have an education professional that can evaluate your work and help you find that and help you with the strategies to improve the areas that you have weaknesses in. Also, understanding test-taking strategies. It's extremely important to know how to take a test. You can change the results of a test through, and many, many studies have showed this, not by studying the subject material, but by studying how to take tests, how to deal with things like test anxiety, time management, and strategies in looking for keywords in the answers and the questions. So the BCSP exams don't always have 1 right answer and 3 wrong answers. They may have 2 right answers, 3 right answers, or 4 right answers, and they're asking you for what they consider the best answer. That happens not always, but quite often. So these little things can tweak your score by several percentage points, and they can most definitely make the difference between passing and failing the exam and getting your certification. So you want to make sure that your test-taking strategies are sharp. My test-taking strategies have been developed over a long period of time, and they've been proven very successful on a number of different types of exams. So we're going to have a lot of practice questions, questions that come directly from BCSP. Some of them are alternative questions that didn't make it in. Some of them are questions that they've rotated out. Doesn't mean that the information is outdated, but they don't want to just have 200 questions and each test has the same questions, because people somehow figure out what those questions are. So every once in a while, they take a question and get rid of it and put a new question in. So when they do that, then we use those questions. They allow instructors to have those questions and use those for practice exams. And so you're going to get at the end of every domain, each of the 9 domains, you'll have a practice test over that domain. Halfway through the course and at the end of the course, you will also have a 100 test question that, when added together, are a full CSP exam. So you're going to get an awful lot of practice with real BCSP questions. So on your screen right now are the domains for ASP and CSP. As you can see, they match up almost identically. The main differences are that the CSP has a risk management, and in place of that, the ASP has put ergonomics in, and in the CSP, ergonomics is in with occupational health. Other than that, they're really, these domains tell you what material they're going to cover. And so some of the domains are weighted heavier than the others. So for example, domain 9 is lightly weighted. It's only worth a few percent. Whereas if you go to domain 4 for the CSP, advanced applications and key safety concepts, that's very important. That's weighted 2 to 3 times more than the law and ethics. So there will be, what that means is there's more questions under domain 4 than there are for domain 9. Okay, and when you look at the documents that we're going to send you after after today's session, you'll see those weightings and those percentages on those documents.
Excuse me, Terry, we have a question from Farhat. Farhat, go ahead.
Please.
Farhat Khan.
Yes. Hi, Terry. Sorry
Hi.
to interrupt you.
No, please, by all means. Thank you so much for your input.
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, I wanted to know that the next exam, which we are going to appear, like forthcoming exam, whenever it is scheduled, will be based on CSP 9 or CSP 10
10.
syllabus?
Yes,
CSP 10.
the CSP
For sure.
10, the exams for that changed over in March. So anything after March of this year, which there probably hasn't been too many of, but
Yes.
all of those, they were changed as of March of 2020.
Good. Because I have already got the confirmation, and I'm planning whenever the things are getting normal, I would appear for the exam. That's why I wanted to know whether it will be based on CSP 9 or CSP 10.
It'll be, from now on out, everything's on CSP 10. So if you have those old documents, go ahead and get rid of them.
Good.
If you have anything
Thanks,
that says
thanks, Terry.
BSP
And
9.
can we have a brief comparison between this CSP 9 and CSP 10? What are the major differences between these two syllabus?
That, I will send you that afterwards. The BCSP has, when they came out with the 10, the blueprint for 10, they highlighted those differences on that blueprint. And so
Okay.
I'll let you see that. It's they basically changed around some of the percentages and added a couple of different things. Most of the changes were to ASP, but CSP also changed a little bit.
Fine. Thanks, Terry. Thank you for your input.
No worries.
Please go ahead.
So a good study plan is going to have certain components. We're not going to dwell on these, but I want you to understand that our plan is very systematic. You have to understand the test and the content, test taking strategies. We're going to review the content. Even though it's important to understand test taking strategies, you also have to know your safety information. You have to know the math. You have to know the ergonomics. You have to know the industrial hygiene. Practice testing is a big part of any study plan. Analyzing the feedback from classroom participation, from online discussions that you will have with each other within each domain. And your practice test results is going to be very important. That is something that I will be doing at an ongoing basis during the entire course, and then to remediate and update that plan. So as I see what you're doing, I may send you a plan to study domains 4 and 8 for the next 3 days, because I think that you need that, and give you notes and give you some references to find good information from those domains. So your study plan is not going to be a generic study plan that's thrown into this entire course. Your study plan will start that way, but by week 4, your study plan will be yours. And then it'll continually change as we touch on more and more of the domains. And by the end, you will have a study plan to take you from where we end up to whenever it is that you're going to take the test. Typically, I recommend 2 weeks to 6 weeks after the course. The course prepares you. If you wanted to take the test 1 week after, I would not be against that. I really feel that when you're done with the test, you're ready to go. If you wait too long, if you wait 4 months, maybe some of that stuff starts to that we've done starts to fade into the background. So we only have so much RAM up here, and so as we're bringing new information in, we get 140,000 bytes of information every day, and we can't store all of it. So the sooner that you can take the test, the better. In the older days of pen and pencil, a lot of times I would teach a class for a certain number of days live. It'd be maybe 4 or 5 days. The last day, we sit down and take the test, and those numbers were always real good. So,
excuse me, Terry, we have a question. In fact, a clarification.
Yes.
It's from Rishita Badu. What she's asking is there a variation between the examinations which the Americans take and the people from the Middle East and Asia? Do they have different kind of an exam?
No.
The content of the exam, does it vary according to the region?
No, it does not. The exam is the same no matter what.
Okay.
The only difference is that there are more than 200 questions. There's about 1,000 questions. So every time you register for exam, they don't know which test questions you get until you sit down and log on to that computer at Pearson VUE, and it randomly chooses 200 questions out of the 1,000, and that's what you get. So your test will be different if you and 9 colleagues went to sit down and take the test at Pearson VUE at the exact same time on 10 computers in one computer lab, which you can do, and a lot of people do that. You would all get a different test. Now, obviously, because it's random, some of you are going to get some of the same questions, but you're also going to get a lot of different questions. And if you do get the same question as a colleague, it might be question 31 on your exam and question 189 on theirs. So that's how they differ, but that bank of 1,000 questions is the same for every single test. What BCSP wants is that this certification to mean something around the world has to be consistent. So no matter where you earn it, that certification maintains the same value. So if you go to Nepal and take that certification, and then you move your family to Houston, Texas in the US, and you want to work in the oil field there, and you have the CSP, that's going to help you get a job there.
Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome. So, see, we're back here. So, real quick comparison. We don't want to get into too much of this, but as you can see, we do a lot more. Our course has a lot more hours, and it's a lot more individually individually adapted to your needs that are analyzed throughout the course. And I have still never seen a course that offers one-on-one coaching sessions and study sessions. So we're very proud of what we've come up with. So just what I want to do now But before we go on, I want to ask if there are any questions on any of the strategies, any of the process, because what we're going to do now is kind of look at how the course unfolds and what we covered. We're going to just do a short sample of a couple of our sessions and look at what some of the test questions look like.
Terry, excuse me, there were a few questions from the participants, whether they want to know whether their qualification is acceptable to BCSP. And I just want to tell them, rather than taking one by one, once the webinar is over, we are going to share a survey. In fact, we already shared the survey with all the participants, but we'll send the survey again to you, the link. When you go online, it'll ask you a series of questions, and you can clearly understand whether your qualification is accepted by BCSP or not. Okay, and if that survey is not clear, my number, my email ID, Terry's email ID are already mentioned in the communications. You can always just raise it directly with us.
Okay.
Thank you.
I could probably go ahead and clear up a lot of those questions very generically.
Okay.
If your question is about the bachelor's degree, the university degree, I can't answer those questions. And if it's a U.S. degree, it will be accepted if it's a U.S. bachelor's degree. If the college is outside of the U.S., BCSP will evaluate your documents, and I have no way of knowing what they will accept or won't accept. If your question is about the certification part, that's very clear. There is a list of 12 certifications that they accept. And then there's a list of 12 degrees that they accept for that certification. We showed those on slides earlier. They'll be in the slide package that you get afterwards, and they'll be directly from the BCSP. There'll be some PDFs just to, so you can look, you either have it or you don't, okay? And they're they don't allow you to send a certification to be evaluated. They evaluate the college degrees, but not the certifications.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, Terry, please go ahead.
Okay, so here's an example of what one of the cover pages for one of the sessions will look like. So session 1, we'll start out with math and science. That's domain 1. And it is a basic understanding of the principles of science and math as they apply to safety. So what you will find is that any math question in the exams, either of the exams, it won't just say, you know, what's the answer to this question. They'll put it in the context of a safety. So they'll, for example, one of our questions has to do with turning in the number of near misses and then figuring out some statistical trends of that, okay? So that's how the math will be used. These are some of the, listed here are some of the areas of study that we use from math and science. This is particularly the math portion. The science is shown later. So these are the types of areas that we'll cover, and Malavan has in the has some polls that basically what these are. They're going to be 4 questions that are BCSP exam questions that used to be in the exam, have been recycled out to keep the security of the exam, so people aren't going in and bringing questions out and telling other people what the questions are. So that's why we have all of these questions that we can use that are directly from the BCSP exams. So I'm going to turn my screen off, and Malavan, you can start as soon as I get that done. You can start the There we go.
Terry, should we say welcome to the world of ASP, CSP exams?
Absolutely.
This is
Absolutely.
a sample, guys. Please try.
So yeah, we're just going to give you a real quick few seconds to answer these. And don't worry, get it right or get it wrong. All we're trying to do is show you the format that BCSP uses to ask questions. And this is just the basics. There are more types of questions that get a little more complex. So we wanted to show you just the basics of what type of information you'll be expected to know for the exam and the type of information that we're going to teach you.
Terry, I have a question. Normally,
Yes.
how many, when they sit for the exam, okay, let's say if it's over 200 questions, like when they plan the time for each question, how many seconds do they actually get per question?
Well, that's an interesting thing, and it's going to vary because some of the questions you'll look at and you'll know right away, and so that allows you to spend more time on the ones that you kind of have to figure out. So there's three layers of understanding of a question. There's one that you know right away. There's one you think you know and you got to think about a little bit, and there's one that you don't know at all. So if you were to simply divide the amount of questions by the amount of time, you get 90 seconds each.
90 seconds.
So
Okay.
let's say you go through and in the first 15 minutes or 20 minutes, or let's just say 30 minutes, you go through all the questions and you answer 50 that you know. Now you've got 250 minutes for the other 150. So you've increased that amount of time vastly. So it's really hard to say, but overall you have 90 seconds per question. So we should probably try to stick to that on this, and just after 90 seconds, we can end the polling and talk about the answer and move on.
Okay, I think we can move on. Chair, can I end the poll?
Yes, please.
Okay. Shall I share the results?
Please. So as you can see here, the answer was B. And the good news for you, the attendees, is that was the one that was most often chosen. So if you want to go ahead and move on to the next one.
Yes.
So let's try to aim for everybody answering this question within 90 seconds, 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Yes.
So during the exam, you are allowed a calculator. There are some questions where it will come in quite handy, others where you could do the math in your head.
Can I request everyone to attempt the question? Don't worry whether it's right or wrong. Please attempt the question.
Yeah. And we're not tracking who gets these right, who gets it wrong. We have no
Exactly.
idea.
We are not
All
going
we
to
know
advertise.
is a certain number of people. Okay, so we're coming up there. That's 90 seconds. So, and that's a good example. There was a little bit of math in it, but also there was understanding mathematics and knowing that the mean is also the average. So if we could move on to the next one.
Terry, were these real questions from the exam?
Yes, they're
Okay.
past exam questions,
Okay.
questions that have been cycled out.
So we have question 3 on display.
From the area of physics.
I think from anyone's got science degree, they're quick to reply.
That's right. The PhDs in English literature may be a little slower.
I can see a lot of diversity in the answers.
Yes.
Terry, could you also explain why? Because some of the answers, they seem all right, but why do you have to choose one over the other?
Okay, I can do that. Now this is one of those questions where there's only one right answer.
Okay.
By definition, there's only one answer to the motion of a body that's equal to its mass and its velocity. And that is the momentum. So velocity couldn't be the answer because it's part of the question. It's only half of the equation. Momentum is equal to mass times velocity. So velocity, the only way is if mass was 1. And then speed is velocity. They mean the same thing. And then force is a different equation altogether. So it's most similar to momentum. But force has to do with the mass without velocity.
Okay. Shall we move to the next one?
Yes, please. We're out of math and into science here. This biology question, obviously, human anatomy.
Can I end the poll?
Please.
Okay, I'm sharing the results now.
So the answer on this one, I think this is the first one we had that where the answer didn't get the most votes, but the Eustachian tube, the answer on this one is D.
D.
So, and this is just memorizing and learning parts of the body. This is obviously when it comes to occupational health, the knowledge of, so some of these will be found in two different domains. This is one, this will be in the science domain, but then again, we might talk about it during the occupational health as well. So, okay, you've got a question. Would the person that asked that question, would you unmute and explain what you're want us to answer, please?
You're talking about Christy?
Yes.
Christy, see, can I request the person who's not asking the question to mute the mic, please? Because there's a lot of background noise. I think it's Mohammed Jabin. Christy, please go ahead. Can you ask your question?
Hello?
Yes, Christy, go ahead.
Hi. My question was, I heard about some software through which we can do practicing the model CSP. What do you say? You can practice it. Like it can be like, it will be throwing you questions and you will be doing the same thing as you are doing the CSP examination, the real examination. So do you have some idea on this? Is it a good thing? I had just heard from some friends. So I'm not sure about how it is.
Yes, that's available from BCSP. It's
sorry, Terry, we can't see you.
Oh, sorry. So that's available through the BCSP. I think it's $100 US, and there's about 10 or 12 questions from each of the domains. So you can go in and answer them, and it tells you if they're right or not. However, I've purchased that, and that's going to be a part of the course, those assessment questions. So if you were to spend that money, you would be duplicating something that you're getting in the course. So we have, again, like I said, there's only 10 or 12 questions per domain. We have a lot more than that in our course.
Terry, I have a question in continuation of that. Some of the participants, they did talk about, books that were available with lots of questions. What can you suggest to them?
There are books out there. Again, there are some good ones and there are some bad ones. There's one out there, I can't remember the name of it, that none of the questions are BCSP questions.
Wow.
What they are is their questions, there's two reasons that BCSP takes a question off of the test. One is just normal rotation so that the tests aren't always the same. And so they take good questions out and put more questions in. Occasionally, they will get questions that are poor, and everybody misses them because the question is asked poorly, or the information gets outdated. Technology changes. When they dump those questions, there are some people out there that take those questions and make them into a study book. I've seen one of them, and what they are is they're all bad questions that BCSP didn't use anymore. So they call them test dump. Those are poor sources of questions.
Okay.
So.
Is it really necessary for the participants to buy any additional question banks? other than what we are going to provide them?
No. The goal of this course is to be self-contained. You're going to get every week when you go into your online course, you're going to get all the materials that you need for that week. And so, and all of the questions, all of the quizzes and tests that you take are going to be more than the real exam. So by the time you get done, you will have answered well over 200 questions, be closer to 400 or 500 questions. So I would not, there's nothing to say that if if you're independently wealthy and want to spend a lot of money on that, I'm not saying that it's going to hurt you, but I don't think it'll help. The goal of this course is that everything is contained in it. All the testing that you need, all the reference materials, everything will be there for you to be successful.
Magnus, could you unmute your mic and ask your question, please? Probably I misunderstood your question. Margus Lear, sorry. Margus, can you hear us? Let me read out the question. I think probably something wrong with his mic. His question is it normal for BCSP to publish past questions?
No. They don't.
So they don't?
They don't publish them, but they release them to the instructors to be used for training.
So that means if I'm a candidate, I may not have access to those questions, but you as a trainer would have.
Right. Yeah, I don't know anyone that has access through the BCSP.
Okay. So they just share with the trainers.
Correct.
Okay. I think Margus, your question is answered now. Does anyone else have questions? I think Margus was asking one more question about the BCSP approved trainers. This comes directly to you.
What's okay. Okay. BCSP have instructors or trainers. Right now, they are not in the business of providing courses. They don't have online sessions. The only thing that BCSP offers is that self-assessment. And they also don't endorse any of the private companies that provide training. There are different trainers out there around the world that are anywhere from typically $1,200 US to $2,500 US, usually for three to 5 days, or online self-guided where there's no one to talk to. You just go in and you read information online. But no, BCSP does not provide instruction.
But they do, I think probably he was trying to ask, okay, whether they do approve external trainers, individuals.
They do not.
Okay.
Excuse me, can I ask one more question, please?
Please.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. See, for the train the trainer course, and which course can be preferable for conducting a train the trainer course for the HSC professional? Suppose I'm going to take a CSP exam, a BSP or a ASP exam. To whom I can contact, or suppose I wish to take as a trainer that train the course to in a different level of the safety professional subject courses. So which course can I select, or which course can I opt for? Go ahead. Can you please?
So let me ask you to clarify what you're asking. Train the trainer. What kind of trainer do you want to be trained as?
Suppose, yeah, I wish to take a train the trainer on subject of the HSC professional subject, for example, confined space entry, or working at height, or a NEBOSH IGC trainer. So what kind of this thing I can do that? This is related to UK courses. Just I'm asking. NEBOSH IGC is based on the UK. I'm not going to that. Just I want to get the information from you.
Okay. So you've sort of asked several questions at once. To become an HSE trainer, there's no certifying body. So you can become CSP certified, and then you can become training certified. There's different places. The ADP is one. But if you want to become working at height or confined space, train the trainer, it just depends on where you're at. Like in the United States, you could do a train the trainer through OSHA. That's not going to be much use to you in the Middle East, because most of that has to do with rules and regulations by the OSHA body, not best practices and so forth. If you want to become a NEBOSH trainer, there's no train the trainer for that. What you do is you have to submit your credentials to NEBOSH, and they will either approve you or not based on your credentials. Each individual country might have train the trainer credentialing. So if you're in Doha, you may have a accreditation through the civil defense there, let's say, for some of these topics. But in HSE, there's no certified HSE trainer. It doesn't exist. I wish it did. It would help provide some consistency to HSE training. I've seen some really, really good HSE trainers, and I've seen some really, really bad HSE trainers. And there's no way to certify right now.
Okay, thank you. And one more question. Can I ask you, please?
Yes, please.
Shekhar,
Yeah.
just a request.
Yeah.
Can you limit, can you make sure the question you're asking is relevant to the webinar? Otherwise, it will be unfair, on the other participants.
No,
okay?
no, fine.
If it's within ASP, CSP, please go ahead. Otherwise, you can always, once we finish the session, you can raise the general question.
No issue.
Okay.
This is related
Thank
to the
you,
CSP.
Okay.
If I got to the CSP certification, can I become as a trainer for the CSP ASP course?
You could do that if, anyone could do that. You wouldn't even have to hold the certification. I don't know too many students that would sign up for someone's course if they didn't hold the certification. But really right now, that's holding the certification is the qualification for it.
Okay, thank you so much for your patience and proper answer. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
And sorry for that. I'm not asking. I asked some of the question irrelevant. I'm very sorry.
No, that's okay. That's all right.
Okay, okay. No, no, no. So I have to, I mean, I compile that within that limit only. That's what.
Sure. Thanks. Any other questions before we move?
So,
Yes, go ahead, Farhad. Yes.
yeah, Mr. Malawan. Yeah, this is Farhat. Actually, I was trying to raise my hand, but I could not see the option now available on my screen.
Oh,
I just wanted to ask Terry. Terry is there.
yes, yes.
Terry, I just wanted to know that as we were discussing about the books to be recommended for the preparation, so which book usually you recommend if I have or if I can have with me? Out of two, if I give two example, David Yates or Roger.
So why don't we do this? Send that through an email, and I'll put a list of what I think the best best resources are. But right now, we have a question from someone that has to, their time is running, they have to leave. Malvan, if you would address the cost and the schedule of the training.
Sure, definitely, definitely. Do you have some more slides to cover, or can we go there, Terry?
No, it's not on any of the slides.
Okay, okay, brilliant, brilliant. See, does anyone have any questions about the course before we can go to the financials?
So the person that asked about the financials said that they're going to have to leave soon, so they'd like us to get
yes,
to that.
yes, yes. I did answer him. I did answer him.
Okay, okay, good, good.
We have a very silent crowd. What have you done, Terry?
I'm hoping that we explained everything very well and answered their questions before they asked them.
Okay. Is there anyone who's appearing for the exams in the next 3 or 6 months?
Yes, it's me,
Yeah.
Mr. Malawan.
Ah, okay.
Farhad.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Malawan, Malawan, I want to wish to appear for the exam.
Okay, okay. Very good, very good.
Malvi,
Anyone?
Same here, huh?
Sorry. Allah. Nice
Yeah,
to hear
it's
your
me
voice.
also. Yeah, it's me also. I'm planning to have it. Cheers.
Okay. Okay, very good. Anyone else?
Sunil Kumar, I am also I wish to do the course.
Okay, okay. The course or the exam? Sorry, you surprised
The
me.
exam, sorry, exam.
Okay. Have you have you got a date for that?
No, nothing. Yeah,
Not
yet. Not
Okay,
yet.
okay. Very good. Terry, we have a question in the meantime from Pratap. He's asking whether he can prepare for the exam using the last year's question paper questions.
Hold on. I'm not exactly sure. It says that the last year's paper. What do you mean by that?
Pratap, do you think you can elaborate your question? Pratap Singh, are you with us?
Yeah, I don't know what last year's question paper is. I mean, there are probably some people out there that have been working in safety for 30 years. They might be able to pass it without studying at all. I don't know. I don't think there are too many people that can do that because the test covers so many varied topics.
Okay. Maybe I think what Pratap may be trying to ask, Pratap, I think you have a challenge with your mic, so let me try to interpret. Now, since we have versions every now and then, like it was 9 and now we have 10. So probably he's wondering whether if he has questions from version 9, can he practice on those questions and still appear for the exam, which is version 10?
More or less, probably, because from version 9 to 10, it didn't change that much. There'll be more, most of the changes aren't to the content, but to the weighting. So how many questions for each domain has changed. But yeah, it doesn't change that much.
Okay. So the only thing we have to be very careful is that we don't have a question bank which is sort of discarded by BCSP, and we are practicing on those questions. Right.
It's very difficult to know whether the questions that you have are legitimate or not. I mean, I've gone in the last few years, I've spent some of my own personal money to look at different test questions, trying to increase my bank of questions. And I've spent some money on questions that weren't even ever test questions at all. So you just don't know what you're getting.
Okay, okay. That's very, very good. I think, Terry, we've really exceeded our time. See, our workshop is actually going to start on the 7th of August, and it'll go on till about the end of October. So we are going to email the detailed brochure to everybody. Rather than discussing now about the financials, what we can do is just absorb the information which Terry has shared. I'm sure you're going to have a lot more questions. You can read the brochure that we are going to email you. That is quite descriptive. And also, in order to find out whether your qualifications, whether you're eligible to be accepted by BCSP, fill the survey survey link that we are going to email you. Because when you go on to the survey, you're going to find all the qualifications which are accepted by BCSP at this moment. Okay, which will give you a good idea. And based on the, once you fill in your details, it'll automatically be sent to Terry and myself, and we'll know exactly whether you're eligible, not eligible, and then we can have a discussion. Would that be okay with everyone?
Yes, yes, okay.
Okay, brilliant. So let us share information between each other. And if there aren't any more questions, maybe a minute or two. Any more questions?
Well, I just want
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Farah.
Yeah, it's okay. Actually, as I told you earlier, that I am already registered and eligible for the exam. I have booked everything. I was just waiting for the situation to get normal so that I can appear for the exam. But since this program came into this, so I would be interested to know more about the workshop and how can I register myself for that. So that after attending the workshop, I would be planning to appear for the exam so that I can book my exam date.
Very good. That's very good. See, what I feel is like, let me share all the information about the workshop, because an important part of the brochure is the schedule that we have prepared for 3 months. Like Terry told, you don't need to be purchasing anything. Okay, maybe reference materials on each subject, yes. Okay, but apart from that, question banks, nothing you need to buy. All that is included in the workshop, and the brochure will clearly explain to you. What I feel is, have a look at the brochure, go through the information, and please call me. Or if you're not stationed in Qatar, just we can have a discussion on Zoom. Okay, and if Terry is available, he'll join us. Otherwise, you can discuss with me, and we can go through the process. Okay,
Right.
would that be okay?
Yeah.
All right.
And
Brilliant.
there was a question, Malvan, from Margus about
yes.
what the pricing is not private information or anything like that at all. So
Very good. See, okay. the fee that you're going to pay for the workshop, it's 3,000 Qatari riyals for the entire 3-month period. Okay, so before you look at the pricing, have a look at the content of the workshop. So once you understand the content of the workshop, then the rest would become easier for everybody.
And that can be paid.
It's not a private information, don't worry.
And that can be paid either all up front or in 2 installments.
Yes.
Terry is
Okay.
talking on behalf of candidates. That's good.
Thanks, Terry.
I've been on that side. I've been on that
Yeah.
side too.
Yes, nice.
Terry,
Appreciate it.
do we accept credit cards as well now, or is just debit card and PayPal?
Debit or credit, either one.
Oh, okay, that's very good.
PayPal allows either, and you don't have to sign up to have a PayPal account. You can just enter your information.
Okay, that's very good.
So,
Any other questions?
Through
Before we wind
any gateway, it will be done through any gateway, so that any card can be accepted for the payment, or it will
Terry,
be paid
that's
to
for
the
you.
account. If there is any gateway, that will be convenient for the candidates to pay the amount through any mode. If there is no gateway and the account details are shared, then there will be certain restrictions.
right. No, it's a secure gateway through PayPal directly.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's
So-
good. That will be helpful. Yeah.
Yep. Visa, MasterCard, American Express. I'm not sure what other PayPal takes, but anything that PayPal does.
I do have an account with PayPal. Actually, it's very, very secure, Shekhar. It's very secure. And most of the very, very large companies around the world, they use PayPal. It's very safe. And you're not, your private data is not shared with us. So we have absolutely no access to your information.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Margus asked another question. Very good, Margus. Yeah, is it a weekly session? So the workshop, you will have 2 sessions per week. Okay, we don't want to have sessions every day or every other day because being in safety is very tough to manage. So we'll have 2 sessions, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. It'll be on Tuesday and Friday. Okay, so we'll maintain those 2 days until the end of the program. Okay.
Per session, 2 hours, right?
Yes, because scientifically it's proven, especially for working professionals, more than 2 hours is very, very, very difficult.
And
you're going to be on a site the whole day. And the last thing you'd want is sit in a classroom for another 4 hours.
Time is?
7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Qatar time.
Okay.
And very importantly, these sessions are going to be recorded. Okay, so in case you miss any of the lessons, we will share the recording with you so you're not completely left out. Okay, and J Lord, you were asking about the list of 12 certifications. Yes, we're going to send you a PDF document. And in addition to that, even in the brochure, you'll find the list of certifications which are accepted by PCSP as of now.
And it's on the survey.
Yes, it's on the survey. Yes, J-Lord, that will be a very good option for you. Just go directly to the survey. Before everyone joined the webinar, we have sent you an email about 2 hours ago. I think probably 2 hours before the start of the webinar. Click on the survey. It'll take you onto the SurveyMonkey website, which has 3 or 4 questions. And there, because you know your qualifications and you know who has awarded your certificate. So just list them out, then you'll know exactly whether the BCSP is accepting yours or not. Okay.
As experience sharing, there are, as Terry is already aware about this, there are around 18 bodies who are authorized to do the equivalency for the certificates outside US. So out of that, what I experienced when I searched about this, So I have done through Spartan. Spartan is the body, and I felt Spantron, yes, Spantron,
Yes.
and that is a very good service they are providing.
Farath, we have an update on that. Terry, do you want to explain?
What's that?
No, he was talking about Spantran because we used to send all the qualification certificates to one of the qualifications companies, third parties. Like
Yes, that is exempted. Yes.
Yes. Now
equivalency is not to be
CSP
done.
has
Yes,
taken
correct.
over.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, they
It's
do.
a lot
They
easier
do
to
not.
manage.
Now that is
they do
exempted.
it themselves.
No need. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
The process is a lot easier than before.
Yeah, a lot. It was taking money and time as well.
Yes.
Okay, so
Excellent.
we're getting close to